If you have ever been hurt by those who were supposed to love you the most, if you have ever been abandoned, overlooked, and had to rise from nothing all on your own, then this story is for you. The Fateful Wedding. My name is Olivia Carter, and I am 32 years old. I live in Vancouver, Canada, with my husband Ethan, who is 6 years older than me, and our little son, Noah, who has just turned 6. Today, I am attending a wedding with Ethan at a luxurious seaside hotel. The wedding is extravagant, with dazzling lights reflecting off the water like thousands of sparkling diamonds. I can sense the lively atmosphere and hear the cheerful conversations around me. Yet deep inside, I feel something indescribable. To be honest, I don't personally know the bride and groom. They are friends of my husband, and I've only seen them a couple of times. As I step into the grand wedding hall, I can't help but wonder how much money they must have spent on such an opulent event. But I quickly push that thought aside, reminding myself that this is their special day, not mine. Ethan turns to me and says, "I'm going to greet a few acquaintances. Do you want to come with me?" I shake my head. "No, it's okay. I'll just step into the restroom for a moment and be right back." Leaving the reception hall, I walk down the marble-tiled hallway. As I exit the restroom, preparing to return to the banquet, I suddenly hear an unpleasant whisper behind me. "Oh my God, look who's here! That worthless trash! What is she doing in a place like this?" My heart skips a beat. That voice, it's disturbingly familiar. "Mom, why is she here? Didn't we make sure she wasn't invited?" I don't need to turn around to know who they are. I have no desire to be involved with them, no desire to relive painful memories of the past. I lower my head and quicken my pace, but their voices grow louder, no longer whispers, but open, cruel insults. "Stop right there, you useless thing! I know you can hear me!" Suddenly, a hand grabs my arm tightly, sharp nails digging painfully into my skin. "Stop right there!" I took a deep breath, feeling my body tremble with anger. I turned around, my gaze cold and sharp. Standing before me was Isabel, my younger sister, and Lisa, the woman who gave birth to me but never truly treated me as a mother should. Isabel was just as beautiful as I remembered, but her arrogant and condescending expression only made her seem distant and unfamiliar to me. "Sorry, but I don't recall knowing you." As soon as I said that, Isabel's eyes widened in fury, while Lisa sucked in a sharp breath as if I had just committed an unforgivable sin. "What? How dare you say that to your own sister?" Isabel screamed. I shrugged indifferently. If I really had a family, they wouldn't have thrown me away like an old piece of trash 10 years ago. A heavy silence fell over us, but I could see the rage growing in their eyes. Just then, a male voice interrupted. "What's going on here?" I turned my head and saw Nathan, the groom, approaching with another man. Isabel immediately changed her demeanor, her voice turning tearful and dramatic. "Oh my God, she's terrifying! Nathan, do something!" She pointed at me, tears welling up in her eyes, as if I were some kind of villain threatening her. "Olivia shouldn't be here. She's worthless, a parasite. Throw her out right now." I shook my head, unable to believe what I was hearing. But what shocked me even more was Nathan's reaction. He froze the moment he saw me, his face gradually turning pale. "Olivia, you are," Nathan stammered, as if he had just uncovered some earth-shattering secret. The man beside him, who I assumed was his father, simply stared at me, his expression unreadable. "Why shouldn't she be here?" Nathan asked, his voice shaking slightly. Isabel turned to him, completely taken aback. "What are you saying?" Nathan let out a deep breath, his eyes flickering between me and Isabel before finally settling on her. "Isabel, you said Olivia was worthless, didn't you? But do you even know that she is the founder of the medical nutrition company that our hospital is currently working with?" The silence was suffocating. Lisa turned pale. Isabel's mouth hung open in shock. I gave a slight smile. "So, it looks like you finally realize what I've done with my life." Isabel's voice cracked as she stammered, No way." Nathan spoke slowly, his voice firm. Then tell me, Isabel, who is the real failure here? All eyes turned to Isabel, who was now trembling violently. Panic washed over her face as she took a step back, her lips quivering as if she couldn't believe what she was hearing. I turned to Ethan, who had appeared by my side at some point. He gently took my hand, his gaze filled with warmth and unwavering support. Do you want to leave now? He asked. I nodded, feeling a lightness in my heart that I hadn't felt in years. Yes, but before we go, I want to stop by the bakery in this hotel. I heard their red velvet cake is amazing. Ethan chuckled, giving my hand a gentle squeeze. All right, let's go. And with that, we left the wedding behind, along with the people who had once caused me so much pain. They no longer mattered. I had a real family now, a husband who loved me, a beautiful son who brought joy to my life, and I knew that from this moment on, I would never let anyone bring me down again. A painful past and the journey to rise again. As we stepped out of the wedding hall, a cool breeze from the sea brushed against my skin, carrying the faint scent of salt in the air. I took a deep breath, trying to steady the emotions that were still swirling inside me. Ethan held my hand tightly, his warmth anchoring me, reminding me that I was no longer alone. Are you okay? His deep voice was filled with concern. I nodded softly and smiled. Better than ever. But deep within my mind, old memories came rushing back, dragging me once again to the painful days of my past, the days when my so-called family had made me feel worthless. The years of rejection. I was born into a family with a long tradition in medicine. My father, David Carter, was a well-known doctor, and my mother, Lisa, worked as a nurse at his clinic. On the outside, our family seemed perfect, a model household in Vancouver, with a successful career and a comfortable life. But behind the closed doors of that house, injustice and cold indifference overshadowed my childhood. From an early age, I realized that my parents did not love me the way they loved Isabel. They doted on her, giving her everything she could ever want, while I was nothing more than a shadow in our family. Isabel is our pride and joy. She is beautiful, intelligent, and will carry on the family's legacy. And Olivia? She's just an ordinary child, nothing special. I had heard these words so many times that my heart eventually grew numb. As a child, I still tried to earn my parents' love, but every effort was either ignored or met with harsh criticism. I remember one time, when I was 8, I accidentally spilled a glass of orange juice on the dining table. My mother immediately grabbed my arm and snapped at me. "You're so clumsy! Why can't you do anything right?" I remember the cold, indifferent look in my father's eyes as he nodded in agreement, and how Isabel laughed, as if it were some kind of joke. Those days were harsh. I was deprived of everything from new clothes to books. Whenever Isabel got a brand new designer dress, I would receive her old, worn-out clothes, faded and outdated. But the most painful thing was when they took away my chance to go to college. "You have no value, Olivia. This family will not spend a single cent on you. Isabel will go to medical school and become a doctor. And you? What's the point of going to college? A useless person like you should just get a job and contribute to the family." My father's words rang out like a sentence, sealing my fate. But they were wrong. I was not useless. The journey to independence after graduating high school, I was forced to work full-time to earn money for the family. I worked as a waitress in a cafe, then as an office assistant with a meager salary. But I never gave up on my dreams. I saved every penny I could, carefully managing my expenses. I studied finance, learned about investments, and started experimenting in the stock market. 3 years later, I secretly enrolled in a university to study nutritional science, using the money I had saved to pay for my tuition. I didn't just study, I worked relentlessly. I took on night shifts and freelance projects to earn additional income. I was exhausted, but I never allowed myself to give up. During that time, I met Ethan. He was a passionate medical student who was dedicated to saving lives. But what made me fall in love with him wasn't just his talent or intelligence, but his kindness. He was the first person in my life who genuinely cared about me, who listened to me without judgment. When I told him about my past, he didn't pity me. He simply said, "You've overcome it all, Olivia. That proves you're stronger than anyone." We fell in love, got married, and built a real family together, a family without conditions, without favoritism, filled only with genuine love. After graduating from university, I founded a company specializing in medical nutrition, focusing on providing dietary solutions for patients and children. My company gradually grew, partnering with many major hospitals, including the one where Ethan worked. I accomplished what my parents had always denied I succeeded. Not because of them, not because of anyone else, but because of myself. Harsh reality. Those memories came flooding back when I saw my mother and Isabel at the wedding today. They still believed that I was an abandoned daughter, a useless failure, but they had no idea how far I had come. When Nathan revealed that I was the founder of the medical nutrition company that his hospital was collaborating with, I saw my mother's face turn pale, and Isabel stood frozen in shock. They had never imagined that the daughter they discarded could achieve so much success. Ethan took my hand, gently pulling me away from those thoughts. "Let's go, my love. You don't need to care about them anymore." I took a deep breath and looked ahead. "You're right. They are just the past. The past may be painful, but it does not define my future. I had won, and I would never look back again." What is a real family? I left the wedding with Ethan, a profound sense of relief washing over me. It wasn't the satisfaction of seeing those who once belittled me face their downfall. It was liberation. It felt as if I had slammed shut the door to my past and finally stepped into the future I truly deserved. The sea breeze was gentle as we walked along the stone-paved path outside the hotel. I rested my head against Ethan's shoulder, listening to the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. "Do you regret going there?" Ethan asked, his deep voice steady but laced with concern. I shook my head. I think I needed to face them one last time in order to let go completely." Ethan didn't say anything, just gave my hand a gentle squeeze, a simple gesture, yet filled with deep understanding. As we passed a small bakery inside the hotel, the sweet aroma of freshly baked goods filled the air. My eyes landed on a red velvet cake, covered in smooth cream cheese frosting. "Let's buy some cake. I promised Noah we'd bring some home for him." Ethan chuckled, his warm gaze never failing to make me feel safe. "All right, let's get a whole box." I nodded, feeling a simple yet profound happiness bloom inside me. When family isn't defined by blood. As we waited for the staff to pack our order, I couldn't help but reflect on the concept of family. For many people, family means those who gave birth to and raised them. But to me, family was never about blood ties. A real family is made up of those who love you unconditionally. They don't see you as a burden. They don't hurt you for their own benefit. My biological parents never truly saw me as part of their family. I was nothing more than a faint shadow on the outskirts of their lives, a child they neither wanted nor cared for, but couldn't immediately discard out of sheer pride. I remember the cold, lonely nights when I was left alone in my room while they hosted family gatherings in the living room. I remember the countless times I was scolded for minor mistakes, while Isabel was always forgiven, no matter what she did. I remember the day they threw me out at 19 years old, with no money, no farewell, not even a last embrace. They didn't even bother looking back. But that was never what a family was meant to be. My true family, Ethan, is my family. Noah is my family. My in-laws, kind and compassionate people, are also my family. When I first met Ethan's parents, I was incredibly nervous. I had never had a positive experience with family, so I didn't know what to expect. But they welcomed me with open arms. "Olivia, you are a strong and capable woman. No matter what you have been through in the past, always remember that from now on, you have us." I almost broke down in tears when I heard those words. From that day on, they treated me like their own daughter. My mother-in-law taught me how to make the family's traditional chicken soup, while my father-in-law always listened to my stories with patience and understanding. They never judged me for my past. They never saw me as a burden or an outsider. That's what a real family does. They love you for who you are, not for how well you fit their expectations. They no longer matter. After buying the cake, we drove home. Vancouver at night was breathtaking, with city lights shimmering on the water's surface like scattered stars. When we arrived, Noah was fast asleep on the couch, hugging the teddy bear I had bought him for his 5th birthday. I knelt down and gently kissed his forehead. Ethan stood behind me, smiling. He's sleeping so peacefully. I nodded, then whispered, I will never let him go through what I once endured. Ethan placed his hand on my shoulder, gentle yet firm. I know, and you've done an incredible job, Olivia. I looked at him, then at Noah, and once again, my heart was filled with love. There are still people out there who think they have the right to dictate my life simply because they are family on paper. But they are wrong. They are nothing to me now. I have closed that door. I have chosen my own path, with the people who truly love me. I no longer hold resentment, nor do I feel anger. I simply don't care anymore. The end of one chapter, the beginning of a new life. That night, as I lay in bed, I felt lighter than ever before. I no longer needed to prove anything to anyone. I didn't need the validation of my biological parents, nor did I seek Isabel's approval. I had found happiness in my own way, and that was the only thing that truly mattered. Strangers who share my blood. The next morning, as the sun rose over the horizon, its gentle light seeped through the bedroom curtains, casting a golden glow across the room. I woke up feeling more at peace than I ever had before. But just as I was about to sit up, I heard my phone vibrating on the nightstand. Ethan was still sound asleep beside me, his breathing steady, his face serene. I reached for the phone carefully, not wanting to wake him. An unknown number was calling. I hesitated for a second before deciding to answer. Hello? A rushed voice came from the other end, hesitant, yet still carrying the same arrogance I had never forgotten. Olivia, it's your mother. I froze. A chill ran down my spine, and for a brief moment, my entire body stiffened. Why are you calling me? You don't have to speak to me with that tone. No matter what, I am still your mother. Lisa's voice rose, clearly irritated. I let out a bitter laugh. Since when did you start remembering that? On the other end, Lisa cleared her throat, as if trying to ignore the sarcasm in my voice. I need your help. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. I had expected this. Help? I thought I was just a useless burden that your family threw away 10 years ago? Lisa clearly didn't like hearing that. Her tone turned sharp and curt. Not now, Olivia. Your father and we're in trouble. I said nothing, waiting for her to continue. Your father's clinic has shut down. Patients slowly stopped coming, and our family's reputation has declined. And Isabel is no longer with us. I couldn't help but smirk. Isabel is no longer with you? What do you mean by that? Lisa let out a long sigh. For the first time, I could hear a hint of defeat in her voice. She ruined everything. She was kicked out of the house after having an affair with an older married doctor. His wife sued Isabel in court, and she was forced to pay a large settlement money our family couldn't afford. She disappeared after that, cutting all contact with us. I wasn't surprised in the slightest. Isabel had always been excessively spoiled, raised to believe that she could do whatever she wanted without facing any consequences. And now, when her world had crumbled, she had run away. But that was not my problem. And you think I care about that? I replied coldly. You are our daughter, Olivia. You can't just stand by and watch your family fall apart. I laughed out loud, a bitter mocking sound. Family? You never considered me family. You and Dad took everything from me and threw me out of the house without hesitation. And now that you need me, you suddenly remember my existence. Lisa was silent for a moment before she tried again, this time with a pleading tone. Olivia, say what you want, but you can't deny that you have the ability to help us. Your husband is a doctor, and his family has great influence in the medical field. If you could just ask them for a little support." I clenched my jaw. "Do you really think I would help you? Do you have any idea how I lived after you threw me out? How many grueling jobs I had to work, how I had to sleep in tiny, cramped rooms, treated like I was worthless just to survive? Did you ever think about me back then?" "Olivia, don't be like this." "No, Lisa, I'm no longer the weak Olivia you once knew. I owe you nothing. You chose to throw me away, and now I am choosing to do the same to you." Lisa seemed like she wanted to say something, but I didn't give her the chance. I ended the call, cutting off the conversation right then and there. The return of an old friend. I sat on the bed for a long moment, emotions swirling inside me. I didn't regret rejecting them, but still, a faint bitterness lingered somewhere deep within. By now, Ethan had woken up. He sat up, his eyes filled with concern as he looked at me. "Who was that?" I sighed, resting my head against his shoulder. "My mother. They're in trouble and want my help." Ethan didn't look surprised. He had predicted that this would happen sooner or later. "Do you want to help them?" I closed my eyes, thinking for a brief second. They are not my family anymore." Ethan smiled softly and placed a gentle kiss on my forehead. "I'm proud of you, Olivia." I smiled back, but before I could respond, my phone vibrated again. A message from an unknown number. "Olivia, it's been so long. This is Sophie. Do you still remember me? I just heard about your family and thought you might want to meet again. I'm in Vancouver for a few days. If you have time, let's catch up." Sophie. I was taken aback. Sophie had been my best friend in high school, one of the few people who had witnessed everything I had gone through. We lost touch after I was kicked out of my house and had to struggle to survive. I never thought I would hear from her again. I looked at Ethan, a soft smile forming on my lips. "Would you mind if I met up with an old friend?" Ethan shook his head. "Not at all. Go see her." "Not at all. I want you to do what makes you happy." I nodded, then typed a reply to Sophie. "I'm so happy you reached out. I'd love to see you too. Does tomorrow work?" A new chapter of my life was about to begin, and this time I wouldn't be walking alone.